Hello and welcome to Nmap, a TryHackMe room, and we're going to be doing a bit of a walkthrough, a bit of a study guide. I'm learning cybersecurity at the moment, so it's sort of like, let's relearn as I've gone through this room, and let's try and learn together. If that sounds nice, let's go. So let's start off by making sure you're open VPNing into your, to the VPN, to the virtual private network. You can do this with OpenVPN, and let me just increase this size. Whoa! Make sure you do that. That'll go initialization sequence completed, which is what we're after. To confirm that you are connected to the TryHackMe like virtual private network, make sure you can ping 10, 10, 10, 10. If you get that successful, then you are in the right area. Great. Once that's all good, let's go over to tryhackme.com room further nmap. So link to this room will be in the description. So first thing first is starting up our machine. That'll take about 60 seconds to get up and running. So as that is up and running, let's go complete that. And let's just read over our introductions, get like a bit of a view of like what's going on. So when it comes to hacking, knowledge is power. The more knowledge that we have about our target system or network, the more options you have available. So this makes it imperative that proper enumeration is carried out before any exploitation attempts are made. So the key here is enumeration. So we're going to be learning a tool called Nmap. You might have been learning it. You might have been going through this room getting frustrated. This might be your very first time. Whatever the case is, this word is really key to learning penetration testing, cybersecurity, enumeration, which as it's saying is just finding out stuff about a system, about a computer, about a server, about a website, about an application. Finding out information. So sometimes that comes in the form of just clicking around. Sometimes it's using this tool, which is really powerful. So you can go through this in more detail, which is showing how different ports open and close depending on different services. So I'm not going to go through all the information in great detail. I'm sort of going to be scanning because we're more focused about the actual tasks here. So once your IP for the box that we're going to be looking at is up, you can go ahead and try and ping that box. So just because we can't see pings, so we're trying to say, hey, are you there through an ICMP ping packet? We're not seeing anything. Usually that's not a good sign just for basic testing. But in this case, maybe something else is up. Maybe we can't ping this machine by design. Okay, pretty interesting. So go through this you sort of pause the video, read all of that. What networking constructs are used to direct traffic in the right application on the server? If I remember correctly, it's ports. Interesting. So I'll sort of explain as we go without going into great detail, but ports are just numbers that just represent where the traffic is going. So some of the well-known standard ports are like 443 for HTTPS protocols, SMB for file transfers on 445. So there's a list of well-known, and we'll get to know them as we go through. How many of these available are there available on any network-enabled computer? So if we go through here, we can see that there's 65,535. You know, I do actually wonder why this number is chosen. Is it just a random number? Is it by design? I think most things with computers, it's probably by design. I should really look that up. If you know, let me know. That would be good. So how many of these are considered well known? These are standard numbers mentioned. So I do know off the top of my head, I thought it was 1023, but port 0 is a port. So it's actually 1024. But how do we actually know that? Well, let's just Google it. Let's look up computer ports. Simple little. Now I want the wiki. So computer port hardware. So you usually try and find the wiki for most things. This is just actual ports. So let's just be a bit more specific. Networking ports. And hopefully we get port computer networking. So this is what we're after. The term port is like, it's a little confusing because we often, as I just found out again, that ports can sort of be like input, but it's not exactly what we're talking about. The ports in a networking sense, it's just a number, okay? So we can see here we've got notable well-known ports. So we're sort of looking for what is considered well-known. So here's just some. So we talked about 443, and there's 80 for HTTP, which is not secure. I've got other things like secure shell, so connecting securely into another remotely accessing a machine using SSH. Other things you might have heard of, like FTP, like over 20 or 21. So yeah, and there's others like POP3 for mail, DNS 53. So more protocols and their port numbers corresponding. That doesn't give us the exact number. It actually says here the registered ports are those from 1024 through to that. So we can hit enter. Yay! Got it. So also a good hint here, how many well-known ports are there? So we could look up that sort of thing. So however you want to find out the information is totally up to you. But those are some like general ways. Awesome. So that's a little bit about ports. So hopefully that gives a good idea. I haven't read the entire Wikipedia page, but if you are really into reading, it's got everything in there. But like generally, just as we're learning, just starting off, get the concept. Okay. So like most pen testing tools, Nmap is run from the terminal. Cool. So you're gonna need to get your terminal open. If you've got Kali or Kali downloaded, I'm running mine in a virtual machine hypervisor or software. You can use the attack box that TryHackMe gives you, or you can use VMware, like whatever you want. So you can see here that I've already gone through and done some other switches. So we're going to be using the tool Nmap. So a good thing when you're just learning tools is just to run the tool, like the command itself. Oh, command is a tool. So the tool and then like -- help just to get used to it, or maybe it's -h, or we can look up the man for the tool. So tool. So yeah, those are just a couple of options. So in this case, we're just gonna look up man just to get an idea of what it is. So this is a great way because if you're ever in a challenge or maybe your network's down or something, you might not be able just to Google things, which is pretty rare. But this is also just a great way in case you need to know the information quickly. It's on your local system, so good thing. Anyway, network exploration tool and security /port scanner. So we can use the arrow keys. It gives us a synopsis, so Nmap scan type options, target spec. Okay, so we'll get into exactly all of that if this is your first time. Another example, we can actually scan scanme.nmap.org for example scans. And we've got these funny switches. So we're going to learn all about these switches. But this is just to get sort of like a general idea of how this tool is going to work. Yeah, so cool. I'm feeling a bit more comfortable, like cool. So it says here that we can use -h or man, so great, got that. So what is the first switch listed in the help menu for SYN scan? I'm going to test my memory. I'm going to see if I can remember. Damn it. Let's look it up. So a SYN scan. SYN scan. So let's go through, let's have a look. We want to get to our actual, so there we go, we got SYN connect, SYN scan. So let's try S, capital S. Yeah, got it. Let's go. SYN scan. Which switch would we use for a UDP scan? Now, remember the difference between TCP and UDP. They're both forms of connections over the internet to send and receive information. TCP needs a TCP handshake or a three-way handshake to make sure that it's going to the right place and we don't lose any information. UDP doesn't care about that. Doesn't mean it's not used. It's great for things like YouTube and like Netflix and streaming services where it doesn't need to every single connection to make sure that it is connected. If it loses some packets, it's not a big deal. So it's more about speed than, I guess, stability. Okay, that's always good to remember. So from memory, I think it's SU. I'm not looking. Good. Just trying to remember. I mean, it's right there. I swear I didn't see it. If you wanted to detect which operating system the target is running on, which switch would you use? So we can keep looking here. I'm pretty sure it's -V. -V, -lowercase v. I mean, we can do it with -A. That actually does work, but that's not the only one. O. I remember. I swear it's O. Yes. That I've only know that because I've gone through this before. I'm not. Alright. So here it's actually capital O. So, not right. Enable OS detection. Okay. So all this is just going through this man page. It's just we're trying to get familiar with the man page. That's all. Nmap provides a switch to detect the version of services running on the target. Oh, version. I think it's just -S capital V. Yes, sweet. I can remember this, but I can't remember where it is. Let's just go back up. We can find this information out a little bit easier without using our head. So another good way of finding out information like this, if we just go --help. So this is going to print out everything. Hit the up arrow. If we grep this through something and we just say like version, so just find anything through that output with version, we can see here SV is there too. So that's really handy just in case we want to look up that way. So the default output provided by Nmap often does not provide enough information for a pen tester. So when you just run an Nmap scan, so say we just ran an Nmap scan against our target, that's all we see. It's running an Nmap scan right now, but we didn't see anything. We didn't see what it was trying to do. So verbosity, I don't even know what it means. Let's just have a look at what it means. Verbose is the quality or state of being verbose or wordy. The use of too many words. Verbosity. Such a stigma to me. Yeah, okay, so using more words, showing more information. I find it so fascinating. Why'd they use this word? I don't know. So this is -V, but we can remember, just go back here and we can actually try and find, like, I know the switch, but just as a little trick, if you're ever trying to look up a switch, you can use are these backslashes or forward slashes? Just because if you use a -V, like say I'm trying to find -V, it's going to run that as a grep switch, which we don't want. But if you actually write the slashes around your dash, it'll recognize that as just actual text, which is quite cool. So that gives us anything that matches the pattern -V, which we can see here. There is one. Increased verbosity level. So verbosity. But use V for even greater effect. So this is a habit that I'm trying to get into, and I'd actually encourage you to, if you are using Nmap, try and just make it a habit of using -VV. Yeah, it's a good habit, which is insequentially just the next. Cool. Okay, so we should always save the output of our scans. This means we need to run the scan once. We only need to run the scan once, rather, reducing network traffic and thus chance detection, and gives us a reference to use when writing reports for clients. What switch would we use to save Nmap in 3 major formats? Man, I totally forgot about this one. So let's actually, let's do another, and let's just go like, let's just pick a word like a major. Cool. So output in 3 major formats. So -OA. I have not used it since I've gone through this room. I haven't used this once. I feel like that is not a good thing. I feel like this is actually quite useful. Which switch would you use to see the Nmap results in a normal format? Let's try that one again, but this time we're going to search normal. And output in normal scans, so we've got ON, OX, OS, OG /file. I'm just going to pick the first one. You know what? I'm going to pick the last one. Because I'm that kind of... damn it, I'm going to pick the first one. Damn it. Why does it say the different options? I don't know. If you know, tell me. Because I don't. A very useful output format. How would you save the results of in a greppable format? So let's search this one again. What did I do? Oh, I'm in that menu. Yeah. There we go. Greppable. Blah. Nothing. Let's try that again, but let's just use grep. Blah. Nothing. I'm going to assume that it's actually this. I can't remember. Okay, the only reason that I picked that one for G was grep. So I guess there is a difference in these four. So normal, something, something, greppable. XML. Oh, it says here. Okay, so I'm missing the last little bit here. Okay, so this is, okay. Yeah. So output in a normal mode for ON, XML mode or format OX, in an S script kiddie OS. I don't know what these exactly mean. And then there's probably greppable after this for OG. I didn't pick up on that. Fascinating. Sometimes the results we're getting just not enough. If we don't care about how loud we are, we can use an aggressive mode. This is a shorthand switch that activates service detection, OS detection, traceroute, and common script scanning. So more on scripting, which is super powerful. I like crazy powerful. So this one I also remember, but to find it, like we can use that aggressive. So, alright, that's not actually it. I just remember it's -A. But I mean, it's in there. We can just look it up, but trust me, it's there. So honestly, I sort of skip over like using O. Like I'll just use A. Just do it all. In these test environments, it's like I'm just learning. I'm just a beginner, but I assume in real world environments, you know, you don't want to use A on certain targets, but you might get away with just using O. I don't know. Just guessing. Okay, Nmap offers 5 levels of timing template. These are essentially used to increase the speed your scan results, but be careful though, higher speeds are noisier and can incur errors. So I can actually vouch for this from going through and doing this room and like some other rooms. I have tested running like T4 because I was watching a video of someone who's like, oh, use T4. It's like sort of the best, it goes faster, which is true, but it's like, it's usually good. But it does miss things, okay? So this is sort of, I don't know what the best answer is here. So if we looked up, so let's just use grep again, and we'll just look up anything with T. So there's the answer there. So dash capital T 0 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, set the timing template. Higher is faster. Wait, if 0, that means there's 6. So maybe it's just 1 2 3 4 5. I don't know. So the higher is faster. So this is the fastest, but you're going to incur the most errors. So basically, the whole point of this is trying to find out information about the computer. If you're just telling it to run so fast, it's going to miss things. So like one example was like I did a scan and there were actually like 5 ports open, but because I used T4, it only got 4 ports. So I actually missed out on a port. So yeah, it happens. That's what it means by errors. So we can also choose which ports to scan. So this is, if you look up ports, you can see here in the second one, we've got -P for port range, only scan specified ports. So this is really good if you're scanning the machine and you get all these ports, there's like hundreds of ports, but you just want to focus on like one port to do more aggressively. Well, this is, you can use the -P and then specify the port you're after, which is in this case 80, which if we're remembering is HTTP. How would you tell Nmap to scan ports 1000 to 1500? So same sort of thing. We'd use our -P switch, but we would just tell it, hey, go between these 2 ports. Cool. So you can also do this, like if you wanted to we just run it against, let me just, so running it against here, but we're going to specify -p, but we could do like 80, 443, 22. So we can actually just separate it and say, hey, we only want to run it against these 3 ports. We don't want to run it on all the ports between 80 and 443. We just want to run it on these 3 or these 2 ports. So you can use commas to separate it too. Yeah, so that's good to know. So a very useful option is to scan all ports. Super helpful. So if just the reason that this is so, I'll just run dash. I'll go ports again. So let's see if we get it here. So I can't see it here. Let's try all. See if we can find it with all. Treat all hosts as online. PN. Skip host discovery. So this is actually a good one that saved me with going through this. So I can't find it. So we can go man nmap and just look for it manually. I mean, I remember, but I mean, it's a good process. Just spending some time. Where are you? Where are you? I don't know. I thought it would be under port. I thought it would be under here. Can't see it. Just gonna pretend like I saw it. Oh yeah, you guys didn't see it? Yeah, no, it was right there. Go back, pause the video. So it's just P-P. P-P? No. It's -P-. So that's specifying all ports. Because remember that there are 65,000 ports. So just a default Nmap scan is not going to scan 65,000 ports. It's going to scan, I think it's just 1,000. It doesn't even see. We've got to get around something, but I'm pretty sure it just scans like the 1,000 ports. I don't even know if it's the 1,024. I'm not sure, but it definitely does not scan all the ports. So that's why we need to use that -P-. How do you activate a script from the Nmap scripting library? Lots more on this later. So this is like insanely big, I guess, the scripting library. So if we look up our help page again, but this time let's just search the output for script, we can see --script equals, and then we can put in the name of the script. So think about, the way I like to think about it is scripts are sort of like plugins to Nmap. So if Nmap was the operating system and you could install apps on your Nmap operating system, you'd go to your like iOS library or your Android app store, whatever, and you would go and install that app on your phone. Okay, same sort of thing. You're going to go to a script library to run a script on your Nmap. So every time that we have a program that is open to having programs installed on a program, then it gets really flexible, because that means so many other people are starting to make programs, and it's just kind of mind-blowing how much you can do with Nmap. So I didn't even realize that there are so many like categories of scripts or programs or apps that can run in Nmap, making it like not only just an enumeration tool, but it can also like, you can run payloads from it apparently, which is kind of crazy. So you could like possibly, just hypothetically, break into a machine with just one tool, just Nmap. Yeah, I think that's kind of crazy. Anyway, how would you activate a script? So we can just go --script, if I can spell. And then how would you activate all of the scripts in the vuln category? So we'll look at categories and stuff soon. Can't actually remember. Just gonna go off the top of my head here. Might be wrong, but I think that's it. Cool. There are 2 variants of this switch, one with a space and one with equal sign. Look at the asterisks in the answer field to see which one it is. Huh. I was actually wondering this. I still don't quite understand it, but I'm gonna leave that for another time. So what this is essentially doing is, since there are so many scripts out there, there's so many apps that can be used in Nmap, this is categorizing them. So there could be thousands, hundreds of thousands. I honestly don't know. But hey, try and run all of the scripts under this category. Like, yeah, that's crazy. Cool. So that's Nmap switches. So let's go over to our scan types on task 4. So you can definitely read this in more detail, like I've been saying, but basically there are 3 main types of scans: TCP scans, SYN or half open scans or stealth scans, and then UDP scans. So remember the difference between TCP and UDP, that's important. And then there are less common scans, NULL, FIN, and Xmas, which we will get into in a little bit. So read that. So this is going to detail exactly the ST, which is your normal TCP. So this is what I was sort of referring to earlier, which was the handshake. Okay, that's important. You need to go over that. And I'm going to do my best to try and remember all of this off the top of my head, which it's a process. So if we go read our questions, we've got which RFC defines the appropriate behavior. So we've got RFC 793. So I've always think the RFCs is sort of like the handbook to technologies. I'm not sure if that's how everybody describes them or if that's even right, but that's how I always think about it. If a port was closed, which flag should the server send back? So if we go back to our SYN, SYN-ACK, and ACK, so by now you've read it because you've paused the video and you've gone over this detail, and now you're a boss at understanding this stuff. So this is synchronize, acknowledge, and then acknowledge if everything's open. And you've got an example here in Wireshark, something that I need to get better at. So if something isn't open, I think it's RST. Cool. I remember. Let's go. So an RST packet is in response saying, hey, I'm closed, or hey, the packet's been dropped. And yeah, that's from a firewall. So that's something else to keep in mind. If there is a firewall, it can be dropped, it can be closed. So, there's a lot with Nmap. Every time I go over this, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember everything. But then I'm like, man, it's so much to it, and just networking in general. Okay, so that's TCP connect scans, which is by default, when you just run the tool without root privileges or pseudo privileges, that is what runs a TCP scan. Remember the S capital T. If we are running root, we are going to actually be running a stealth scan. Okay, so similar to the TCP scan, but instead, if my memory serves me correctly, it sends back a closed port. So whereas the system that we're looking at with the TCP scan goes, oh, okay, there's another machine on the other side who's wanting to connect or can connect. The client, us, we send back a, hey, no, there's nothing here anymore. Bit stealthy. Apparently it's not that stealthy anymore from like watching videos and stuff about it, but it still does the thing. So there are 2 other names for a SYNS. So I know stealth is one. I cannot remember the other. Oh, half open. So that's referring to the fact that like it's going one way open and then we're saying, hey, we're not actually open. So half open, and then it's stealth. Cool. Can Nmap use SYNScan without pseudo permissions? No. Needs pseudo permissions. Why? I don't know. It's a good question, me. I hope future me knows. But no, if you actually do know why, that'd be great. You could definitely tell me. Cool. So task 7, UDP scans, which stands for, nah, damn it, I can't remember. What is it? I try not to go on like big research, data programming. Yeah, user datagram protocol. Obviously, it's so easy to remember. Okay, so more very important information, which I actually have gone over, and I have my notes to prove it if you don't believe me, which you should go over to. So pause the video, go over everything. If a UDP port doesn't respond to an Nmap scan, what will it be marked as? Okay, I actually can't remember this. Stateless? Oh, okay. This is gonna test me. If a UDP port doesn't respond to an N, I'm just gonna copy a word because I saw it in italics. Filtered. Filtered's the actual word. No, I would. That was the word I was looking for. Damn it. I can't remember. I don't actually write everything down when I go through these. I don't write all the answers down. I like going through these to try and like pull it out. What's that? Just memory. Yeah, memory thing. Repetition. So let's go for, if a UDP port doesn't respond to an Nmap scan, what will it be marked as? I don't want to have to read everything because I am conscious of how long this video goes for. If a UDP, but it might take longer if I just keep trying to think about it. Okay, if a UDP port doesn't respond to an Nmap scan, what will it be marked as? So back and forth handshake. When a packet is sent, maybe it's a good time to actually go over our information. Yeah, let's do that. Task 7. Unlike TCP, UDP connections are stateless. This means that rather than initiating a connection back and forth handshake, UDP Connects relies on sending packets to a target port and just essentially hoping they make it, which is good for streaming services, like video sharing. When a packet is sent to an open UDP port, there should be no response. Whenever this happens, it should be, it's open and filtered. It's the whole thing. Good. Yes, it's not just filtered. It's open and filtered because it doesn't know the difference. That's right. This has tripped me out because if you need to make sure we remember the port is UDP. So if it comes back as open or filtered, yeah, it doesn't know basically because it doesn't check. Feels good that we got that one. Cool. When a UDP port is closed by convention, the target should send back port unreachable message. Which protocol would it use to do so? Man, I really don't remember this. When a UDP port is closed, by convention, it should send back a port unreachable message. Which protocol? I think it was... ICMP. Yeah, so this is something that I'm definitely, I need to get a bit more familiar with, is the different, getting better at the lower levels of networking, like the packets and stuff, which is sort of what I'm really hoping to get from TryHackMe. The different headers and the information in the headers, and yeah. So those are the 3 main scans. So let's go on to task 8. So we've got NULL, Fin, and Xmas. So this will tell us the difference, and if we do it at a sort of a high, quick level, and from my vague memory, NULL, so breaking down, so there's different flags, going deeper into this scan type. There's these different flags, and so there's reserve, there's noints. I do not understand all of these, but basically the scan is just showing different flags, different smaller parts that are being sent. So NULL doesn't have any of that. Fin only has the last one, Fin, and then Xmas has got 3 of them: PSH, which is push, URG, which is urgent, and then Fin, which I just assume stands for finish, but I'm not really sure. And it says here that it's like a blinking Christmas tree when it's viewed on Wireshark, so it got the name Xmas. Cool. So I gotta be honest, I feel like they're a bit more lower level than I'm quite at right now, so I don't fully understand it. But at least we can take away that they are less used. So that's what we'll take away from that. But no, they've got their purpose, and I'm sure we'll understand them. So which of the 3 scan shows that there is urgent? So that was the last one. SX. Oh my good. Does it want the... I think it wants the actual name. Xmas. Okay, why are NULL, Fin, and Xmas scans generally used? Oh. Oh, I don't remember that. Stealthier? These are the questions that I just want to cheat on because I can't remember. I think it's just because the just harder to detect. Okay, I'm gonna have to read. Damn it. Because they're covered already, so we put in a huge amount of depth here. All is interlinked and are used primarily even stealthier? Is that... No, that's not the amount of letters that we're after. Oh no, please just tell me the experience response. So that UDP malformed packet. Unfortunately, as we open UDP ports, inspect behavior of the port in the firewall. Why are they generally used? Is it... Oh, firewall evasion. Firewall evasion. I remember. Yeah. Yeah, I remember because I got really stuck on this one for ages. But yeah, firewall evasion. As firewalls have got more advanced and at looking at different packets, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm just assuming that firewalls have got more advanced over the years, and that these have been used as just different methods to get around it. So if there are firewalls that maybe aren't so up to date or something, these could still get around it without being noticed. Which common OS operating system may respond to a NULL, Fin, or Xmas scan with a RST on every port? I saw Windows somewhere. Am I just making that up? Yeah. And I think it says here, and a lot of Cisco network devices also respond with RST. Yep. Awesome. All right, we're doing pretty good. We're understanding our scan types, and we haven't even used it yet. So that's cool. Okay. Task 9, scan types, ICMP network scanning. So this is what our ping packet, don't know why I did that. This is what our ping packet is using, an ICMP. So more important information that I'm going to do my best to try and remember and therefore skip. How would you perform a ping sweep on the 172.16.xx network, netmask 255.255.0.0? Oh, I'm so bad at net masks. Subnets, I'm so bad at it. In the SIDR notation. Okay, let's start with what I do remember. So the SDI notation is putting a slash at the end. So, if we look here, these are saying the same thing. So, hey, can you give me everything 192.168.0.1 between 254? So, all of that. And this is saying the same thing, I think. I'm so bad at this. But I think that's what it's doing. So, from memory, we are using... So, okay, we want the whole... Yeah, okay, this one's... a ping sweep. So to do a ping sweep is -SN. So if we just, I believe that this is what it is, but I just want to SN. That's weird. Okay, there it is. SN ping scan, disable port scan, and it gives us an example here of how we could use it using verbose SN. Okay, so we can look at our asterisks to give us a hint. Nmap, we would want to run then SN to do a whole ping sweep, tell us everything that's on the network. So this is where, okay, it's all coming back to me. Especially if we want to get a map of the network, we would want to do a ping sweep. Show me everything on the network, please. So I'm just making sure that, yeah, we can just put in 172.116.x.x. So usually we would have numbers there, but this is just, I think it might want numbers. Let's see. Now, I'm pretty sure it's the 16. I'm pretty sure it's this. I hope so. I could be dead wrong. Damn it. We might just want 00 instead of our XX. Cool. All right, so just to sort of explain from my limited experience and memory, so this is on a different subnet, and it's honestly, I need to do so much more research on it. That is just matching up to the 255.255.0.0, so it's 16, which is the amount of bits. So if there was another 255, then it would be the 24 that it was showing here, which means the last octet is the only one that changes. I think I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but to be honest, yeah, I really don't. So it even says here the CIDR notation, which we use is class B network, which is the default net mask of 16. So I just did that off memory. But yeah, need to go back to the network study book to get that ingrained in me brain. But that's okay. That's pretty good. So task 10 now. NSE Scripts. Man, this is a big room, hey. Like, we're at around 40 minutes. It's a big room to get our brain over all this. So I've gone through it, and trust me, it's a lot, as you're experiencing. Okay, so the NSE library, or script library, stands for Nmap Scripting Engine. So it's crazy. So it's built on the Lua programming language, which I don't know, but apparently it's pretty simple language. And we have our categories here. So we've got safe, intrusive, vuln for vulnerabilities, exploit to exploit the vulnerabilities, auth to attempt bypass authentication, brute forcing. So like, that's crazy that Nmap has got the option to brute force. Well, I think that's what it, like, yeah, discovery, attempt to query running services. So yeah, that's crazy. So we can find the whole list by going to the nmap.org. Crazy big, right? So what language, so we've got here, what language are NSE scripts written in? So that's our Nmap scripting engine. And if we remember, it was the Lua. Which category of scripts would be a very bad idea to run in a production environment? So I'm just gonna take by the amount of letters that we're looking for. It's the intrusive. So as it says here, not safe, likely to affect the target. So it might actually cause some damage. So if we're in a production environment, meaning we're just testing an app or we're just testing a server or whatever, that, you know, doing intrusive scanning or intrusive scripting is probably not what you want to use. Cool. Task 11, NSE Scripts Working with the NSE. So we looked at -- script back in task 3, and that's activating the vuln. If we use exactly that, script equals vuln. So that's anything inside. I think that's what it is. That's how we activate it. I'm not an expert, but yeah. Or we can use this specific script and we just put the script name in, which is kind of cool. So it says here HTTP file upload. So that's an example of a script that you can run. So you got to use the -- script, and then you've got to equals and say, hey, please use this script. You can use multiple scripts by comma, similar to how you can use multiple ports that we looked at earlier. So we've got an example here. So please, hey, can we run Nmap only against port 80? So I'm assuming that then it's on our website. -- scripts space HTTP - put. So that's a script, and then script arguments you can use. So it says here so I'm just trying to think of how to explain this. If this makes sense, just ignore my rambling. If this doesn't make sense, let me make it more confusing for you. So if we are using any arguments, so you can sort of consider these like switches. So when we have a command, we run a switch. So here it's sort of like the switch and then entering a parameter. It's not exactly probably the best way to explain it, but that's just how it helps me. So if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, I apologize. So you've got to specify the actual command, or the script rather, and then a dot, and then the parameter that needs to be met. In this case, a URL needs to be passed through this script, comma, and then another one, and the file that needs to be passed through. So I gotta be honest, like this stuff always gets a little confusing at the beginning, but it does sort of make sense slowly, hopefully, over some time. But yeah, it gives here script name.argument. So I think that's maybe just stick with how they explain things. So what optional arguments can the FTP anon.se script take? So it says here we can look up the script name, but we can use the script help name to actually get the help for it. So let's try that. Let's go script dash help, and then we're going to look up the script name, which in this case is FTP anonymous .nse. So we've got FTP anon categories is under the default auth or safe, and we're looking for arguments. If anonymous is allowed, gets directory listing. So is this the only argument that it takes? No. What arguments does it take? Gotta be honest, I do not remember this one at all. What optional arguments can it take? I looked up script help, FTP anon. I haven't misspelled anything, have I? If anonymous is allowed, categories. If anonymous is allowed, yeah, that's what it does. I don't know. What number? I'm gonna guess. It's interesting that gave me the same. I'm not sure why. Let's go to the URL. Just gonna do it. Copy, copy, please. So in this case, did not tell us in the help. How dare it? But it does require some other things. So let's go through and look at the action. Connect to FTP parameters host and port. So that's cool. We're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letter word. Short target. No, that is script type. Port rule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Categories. Man. Max list? Here we go. Script arguments, and we've got max list. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can count, man. Cool. So this is probably something that I need to get better at, is actually if you can't find it there, which I thought that you could find everything there, like go to Nmap's website. So good lesson for me there. Cool, so we can search scripts. So there are two ways. So we've got two ways of searching scripts: user, share, Nmap scripts. All these scripts are stored in a directory by default. Hey, let's just list out this directory. So let's go ls-l. So we're gonna go user, share, Nmap, wow, and scripts. Would you look at all those scripts? Does that give me like a number of how many? It'd be interesting to know how many. I don't know. I don't know how to find out. But if you do, let me know. Or we can search through the database. Let's just try and cat that out and grep through, I don't know, anon. Hey, yeah, it worked. Cool. Entry file name, FTP anon, and categories, there we go. So there are two ways to look through. You can just list them out. But if you use the database, which I think it says in here, it's not actually, it's just a text file. Despite the extension, this isn't actually a database, it's just a text file. So you can just grep it like normal, which is quite cool. Awesome. So that's just going through file. Yeah, so making sure that, yep. Installing new scripts. Cool, haven't had to do that. I just assumed that all the good scripts that we need are in there, but shows how much I know. This must be followed by script. Yeah, I think I got this in my notes because I'm already gonna forget this. So good to take notes. All right, let's search for SMB. So I'm gonna go up. I'm just gonna search SMB. So pause if you need to, but we're just catting out that database file because remember concatenate, it's just displaying what's in that file, and we're grepping, which is searching for patterns. So we're searching for any pattern that matches SMB. All right, there's a lot. So we've got SMB brute, SMB double pulsar backdoor, SMB enum, groups, processes, services, sessions, shares, users, enum, flood, ls. So okay, there's a lot. So we need a bit more info. How to describe either demonstration methods. What's the file name of the script determines the underlying OS. Okay, so this one stood out to me, both because I saw it and because I remember. OS discovery. So that sort of lines up with the question OS. Read through the script. What does it depend on? How do we do that? I've already forgotten. Let's gonna go up. So let's just go for the help, and I'm just gonna paste that in here. Give me help. So script help, SMB, OS discovery, and what does it depend on? I think I might be making the same mistake because I need to go to the website again. Reading. Attempts to determine the operating system, computer name, domain worker, current time over the SMB protocol. This is done by signing a session with the anonymous account. Ah, we need an account. I need an anonymous account. We need anonymous. We need the decentralized hacking hacktivist group. All right, let's go and look up this thing. Let's go to this thing. What does it depend on? I remember looking and not finding it. So we've got arguments this time around. Can I just read through the script? Don't tell me what to do. I don't read. Attempts to determine, that's right, it says the exact same thing here. Depending on the I remember trying circumstances so many times. Well, that's the only thing that says, like, what it's depending on, so it's gotta be circumstances. Depending on, I'm using the hint, look for dependencies in the Lua script. Oh, do we actually want to cat out the script? If we want to cat out the script, where was it all at? Let's just, no. Gonna just copy this. So we just want to cat this out because remember it's just a file. We can cat this out. There we go. So this was the mistake that I made the first time around. Remembering, we're not actually trying to look at the help page, we're actually looking at the script. Because it says here, read through this script. So yeah, want to actually do that. It did give me a little hint when I clicked on the word hint. Funny enough, I don't know Lua. I'm not a programmer. This is stressing me out seeing so many words. So to make this a bit nicer, let's just grep this through and let's just use the hint that it said dependencies. I might just use that. Cool. We got it. So it's depending on another script. I assume that's another script. I'm not actually sure. I'm assuming that's another script. Just like most like Linux programs and open source projects and everything, there's always dependencies. There's always another program that it depends on to run. So I'm assuming that's what it means and what that is. So awesome. We got another one. So that's task 12. So let's go over to task 13. And let's go for bypassing firewalls or firewall evasion. So Nmap provides an option for this called PN. PN, which says don't bother pinging the host before scanning. Just basically think that everything's actually there. So this is a good one for firewall evasion. So I'm pretty sure we do have to use this. So here's some other things to use. So we can use F to fragment the packets. Alternative to F is MTU number, maximum transitions. Scan delays, so allowing packets to send at different intervals or different delays. So maybe the firewall can't pick up if it's a time-based thing. I think that's what it says, time-based firewall IDS triggers. Yeah, don't understand a word of it, but this is good to come back. I think when we are in like CTFs and like challenges down the road, these are going to be the notes that I come back to and go, I wish I understood it then. That's learning. Which simply and frequently relied upon protocol is often blocked, referring to, I think it's ping, which I'm just guessing. ICMP? Yeah. Cool. Research, which Nmap switches allows you to append the arbitrary length of random data to the end of packets. Well, that's kind of cool. I'm going to use our grep method for the help. I'm just going to type it out. Nmap -- help grep. Let's go append. Hey, option time to take append append output, append rather. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna try this one, but this might not be. Yeah, can't. Okay, which allows us. Ooh, I'm so tempted just to Google that question. Let's just think about this. Which Nmap switch allows you to append an arbitrary? Arbitrary's got to be the word, right? Nope. Alright, let's try random. Data length. Append random sent. There it is. Append random data to sent packets. Wait, is that what it means? I don't know. Let's try. Hey, we got it. Append random data to sent packets. That is what it is. Awesome. All right. Alrighty. After all that learning, this is pretty long. We're at like an hour already, and we skipped a lot of like the detail. Only now we're getting to our practicals. So like, don't feel bad if you spent ages on this. I know I spent ages on this room just trying to understand everything, and that's okay. That's learning. Use what you've learned to scan the target machine and answer the following questions. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you, yeah, cool. Does the target respond? So, we actually know this because I've been trying to ping it since we started. No, it doesn't. So, by design. Yes, I mean no. No, yes. Perform an Xmas scan on the first 999 ports of the target, how many ports are open. So some of these scans can take a while, so if you see the video pausing or anything, just assume that things are taking a while. Okay, so let's go ahead and run Nmap. We're going to use our -VV. So remember that means for the verbosity, however you say it. So it's a good habit to be in to get that showing so we can see results. So we want to use the -S for this Xmas. So remember, that's the different flags. It looks like a Christmas tree on Wireshark, so they tell me. And we want to use the -P for ports. So we're going to specify the ports. So we are going to run it against 999. But this is a problem. Right now, we're only running it against port 999. But we want to do it from 0 to 999. And we want to know how many ports are open or filtered. So the last step of our Nmap scan is we just need to paste in what we're actually targeting. Okay, so I'm going to let that run. I'm going to pause it, and then we're going to come back and look at the results. I should really put it in a text file before I hit run, but anyway, you do that. I'll do this. Let's go. Okay, how did we do? So I see 4 ports, and we're asking for how many ports are to be open or filtered. So let's look at our scan results. So about 50%, one undergoing ping scan, completed ping scan, one host fail. So we've got here, if it is really up but blocking our ping probes, try -PN. So that was that last one we saw about. So we're not seeing ping probes. So we're not seeing them. So let's use our -PN. So let's hit the up arrow. I'm not actually sure if you can just combine them all. I'm not sure. But honestly, just for beginning, it's really helpful just to have them all separate. So it's sort of I know what each one is doing. Let's try that. So we're going to be scanning, and yeah, this might take a while, so I might just pause. Alright, took a couple of minutes, but we've got our scan results. Now it says here all 1000 scans, so let's just have a look. You can see here, we get completed scan, how long it took, and then we've got Nmap scan report, so we've got that report. So I'm in a bad habit of not saving it off and just copying and pasting this. It's a bit of a no-no, probably. But we can see here that we've got 1000 open filtered TCP ports. So, we can put 1000, but that's not going to work. So I'm going to assume that means that all 999 ports are indeed open or filtered, meaning we're not getting that acknowledged response. All right, so there is a reason given for this. What is it? Firewall? Question mark, I think. The answer will be in your scan results. Think carefully about which switches to use and read the hint before asking for help. All right, let's continue looking at our yeah. So I believe that it is the no response. Can't exactly remember, but yeah. Awesome. I'm pretty sure that really confused me. So just because there's a dash here and we've got a space. So that's the reason we're not getting an actual response. So remember the stealth scan, which would not stealth scan. Sorry. Well, in this case, we're just not getting a response. So it doesn't know how to handle it. So it just says that they are open or filtered, I think. Awesome. So perform a TCP SYN scan on the first 5000 ports of the target. How many ports are shown to be open? Okay, let's hit up arrow because we've got a lot of the work here. So this time we want to go 5000. So it's going to take a little bit longer. So we could, if you remember, we could use that T4, T3 or 5, so that was just speeded up. I'm with possibly creating a problem for me. I'm gonna use the T3, see if that just speeds it up a little bit. So we've got 0 to 5,000 ports. This time we want to use a TCP SYN scan. So if we go back, if we remember, we've got our TCP SYN scan, which is that stealth or whatever, half open scan. So that's what we're wanting to run. So I honestly just forgot. It's SS, right? Yeah, SS. Literally right in front of my face. So let's go over here and change our X, which was for the Xmas scan, to the stealth scan, which is now the capital S. So I'm almost now regretting using the T3 because it might stuff something up, but you don't have to use the T3. Remember, that's just the time to speed it up. You can try it without. I may be doing it without. Off my memory, it might be 0. Okay, it's not 0, but it is between 1 and 9. So let's run that, and let's use make sure you've got your -VV so we can actually see what's going on. So look at this, we can see some results using our stealthy scan and using our PN. So we've got an open port on 21.135, 3389, 5380. So some of these are known ports. Can't remember what, they're so known, I can't remember what they are. Okay, I'm gonna just use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. So we can essentially cancel that, and cool, it's already done. So we got our 5. Awesome. So this is what we generally get with our scans, is we get a little bit of info saying we've got 5,996 that are filtered or no response, like we saw with the first bunch, but this time we weren't using this SS, our SYN. So yeah, we can see here we've actually got our ports, the state that they're in, the service that they're running, so domain, HTTP, MSRPC, MSWPBT, you can read. Okay, so let's go back here. So we've got Open Wireshark, and let's, oh yeah, if we wanted to do that, that's cool. I'm not familiar with Wireshark. I got to do that room, so I'm going to leave that for another time. So we want to deploy the FTP add-on script against the box. Can Nmap log in successfully to the FTP server on port 21? Yes or no? I remember off the top of my head that we can. I mean, we could just guess yes or no. It's only the last one, but trust me, we can. I just, for the time that we've already gone here, I think that's we've done a good job. So well done. If you made it to this stage in the video, you're an absolute legend. Thank you for sticking around. I would really encourage you to take on Network Services and Network Services 2 in the beginner path, which I will be showing soon. So if you want to, stick around and you can see that. But no, congratulations. You've got through quite a lot. This is a big room, so thank you to TryHackMe for providing the amazing rooms. Thank you to you, the awesome community. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, great. If you didn't, let me know why, and I'll see you in the next one. Cool.